to Logosphere. This is Chris Stites here with always
JD Roof.
JD Roof.
Hello, good evening.
Here as always with JD Roof. And how we doing?
We're doing good, man. It's a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to talk about tonight? We had a guest that canceled because he was sick.
Yeah.
So, but Stites and I got to get on the mics and talk about some stuff.
Yeah, we were going to meet with Cal. Cal will hopefully be back soon. He's been here before. He's always an interesting.
Yeah,
it makes for an interesting conversation.
Well, the thing I think we were going to try to hit him on was because he grew up in a Hasidic Jewish
sort of
culture.
Cult,
yeah,
almost.
Almost, and from what I understand, he's returned back to his Jewish origins.
Yeah,
his ways.
Now he's sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and he has his own interests in, possibly. I think he's got these theories around religion and tradition and sexuality and the tension that exists between biology and what's that?
Your foot's hitting the light.
Is it?
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
We're restricted. We're trying to figure out how to use all this new equipment. So yeah, we're getting there. So the tension between being I think he
just wants to plow fields. He wants to fuck everything that walks, and he also wants to have a wife and 3 kids and be a pious man. And
how do you balance those two?
I mean,
we were talking about that at dinner.
Yeah.
Most men, and this is if you're being truly honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They wanna bang everything that walks, anything that looks good. There's an evolutionary drive to just the curvature of a woman for most heterosexual males. I can't speak for the gay community, but I'm sure it's the same. It's that sexual drive. You want to procreate. Mm-hmm. You want to get in there.
You want to spread your seed. You can spread it as freely as you want. There's very little cost to, probably from an evolutionary standpoint, to raising children. A woman can have a child every, 9 months.
Yeah, basically every year.
Every year, if you give time to recover.
And that's an interesting thing because when a woman goes through the whole thing, from what I learned, watching my daughter get born, the woman, once they give birth, it's like they're ready to go again. Yeah, soon, and within a couple weeks or something, or a couple days, I think.
Are they emotionally ready? And
I don't know. I mean, there's the whole postpartum thing, but for the
physically,
for the most part, nature just wants to continue itself. Mm-hmm. I believe that's the drive. Mm-hmm. It's designed. Now, humans, and this is a known fact, right? We have the most maturity rate, on a species. It takes 18 years to get fully developed. Technically, your brain, and even in the 20 years, to be fully mature and ready to kind of go out on your own. Where
it's getting longer and longer.
Yeah, like a gazelle drops out of the mommy's belly and is
flops
running
around for a second, and it's walking.
It's running from a cheetah. Mm-hmm. First thing. Or that the interest that I think it was Planet Earth 2, where there's those eggs that hatch, and it's the iguanas, and there's those racer snakes. Anybody that hasn't seen that scene, it is fantastic. But literally, the iguana's eyes open, and it's like death is coming for you, and he's got to beeline it to the sea, and if he doesn't make it there, he's dead. Uh-huh. Hundreds, thousands of snakes all trying to get him, and in nature, that's a normal thing. With us, we have this maturity rate kind of thing. I don't know what the technical term is, but yeah, women are ready to go. They'll just pop them out.
But still, even if they're ready to go, it's 10 months.
Yeah.
But a man, how often can a man?
A man can just dump loads.
Once a day, twice a day?
10 times a day. I mean,
enough to probably dry up if you.
Look at Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
I mean, his DNA is all over, everywhere.
Yeah.
Millions of descendants just from that one dude, his one seed. Those 2 testicles are just, all over China, all over,
So you must
Russia.
imagine we've evolved over time to want to survive. as widely as possible.
Well, what does it say in after the flood in Noah's Ark?
What
It's
happens
like
after the flood?
after the flood, they find land, and it's like God says, like, go and be fruitful and just make babies.
Which the religious people love.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They don't like abortion. They don't like,
Right.
some of them don't like condoms.
Right.
They would even think that that's immoral to potentially stop a future life.
What would that be? Like you're blocking God?
Yeah. Dude, some religions are just crazy about kids.
Right.
It's all about kids.
But like,
even, you know, when we saw JP?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Recently?
We saw JP last week.
Yeah.
And that was interesting.
And the Jesus element is mounting.
It is. So Lockwood, our guest last week, we were talking about this, but I saw him at the gym.
Since then?
Yeah, since then, ironically. And I said that I had an over-under with you that within the year, JP is going to come out full, I've been saved by Christ my Savior. And I don't have anything against that. I think that's fantastic. But
and we're talking about Jordan Peterson, by the way.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson. I think if you spend that much time reading all the Bibles, right, the Old Testament, the New Testament, it's almost like designed to like get you just to be, that's it, that's the truth, uppercase D.
Lockwood said he's like Joel Osteen but angrier.
Yeah, he mentioned that. He's
he?
like a Joel Osteen, and his ego's really big, and it's gotten bigger.
He's gonna have his church.
He's gonna have a church. He's gonna have a whole thing. Because when we were watching it, his daughter came out, and she said that 2 months ago,
just 2 months, she was
saved by Jesus.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's fantastic, though. I mean, me and you are skeptics always. We're skeptic of all religions.
Like what's going on there? It's like people who are speaking tongues.
Yeah,
you know?
There's something I love what JC's putting out. I love Jesus Christ's teachings, and we probably follow in his footsteps, probably more than most people, being kind of orthodox, sober people, right? We kind of have to, right? Otherwise, we're nihilists. It's like that or nihilism.
It's like JC or drunk.
Right. And so, but like, I don't like
JC light at least.
Yeah. JC light, maybe.
Yeah. Minimal.
But he really likes the 12 steps though. And recovery communities. JC
gets down.
Yeah. JC would,
or it goes the other way around.
No. I mean, Jordan Peterson does. Jordan Peterson has a couple videos of him and, Russell Brand breaking down all the 12 steps, and it's pretty cool. It's actually a really good listen if you ever find it online. But I think he's going to be saved soon, if he hasn't already.
Yeah, but so the religious people, they want babies, and more babies. What's that all about? Because we're all created in God's image, and so every baby is like a little piece of God. And
so religious people being right.
So this idea, religious people want babies, they want big families, they want lots of kids, they want everyone to reproduce. What's that all about? How is that related to the Bible? How is that in line with the teachings, of Jesus? Or how much of that do you know that really lines up? Where do they get that from? Where does that whole cultural sort of thread, where is that woven from?
Well,
and you said maybe they're right. Maybe that's like a good thing. Like a lot of, there's an argument that religious teachings are pro-social. So it's whether you believe it's because it was ordained by a God up in the clouds, or you just think it's the right thing to do. If you live a religious life, it's going to be better for you and for everyone else. It's sort of an incentive to be moral, and you could maybe find some evolutionary, biological underpinning in some of these incentives and stuff like that. So, is more, from the point of view of the species, is more better. The counter argument from like the more postmodern types, the more liberally minded types, there's this this idea that there's too many people already. Look what people have done to the planet. There's global warming, there's overpopulation, there's poverty, there's war. We're like a cancer on the planet.
Yeah, we're a disease.
The best thing we could do is we could just destroy the human race and let nature live, undeterred by our selfishness and our greed and all of that. That's the extremist, most extreme representation of the counter argument to the religious, like, big families.
Be fruitful. Yeah. Populate the earth.
Yeah.
As much as you can. And I think the reason why I would say the religious take on that is probably more right than not is because of catastrophes, right? When things happen, wars happen, and when you look at, I mean, the little history that we have, when humanity goes down to 10,000 people, like in the last ice age, right, it was like 10,000, 15,000 years ago, we could have been wiped off the planet. We might have already been a couple times. I don't know, but I'm just saying it's one of those things where nature selects, right? If you're actually trying to adopt evolutionary theory, nature is it's just trying to exist, right, for its own sake or whatever sake it is.
You could, but what about like chocolate cake tastes really good because for most of human history we've been starving and deprived of resources, and so we've developed this taste for fatty foods because it means we might live another day. But now what we have in this era of modernity and abundance is we have a bunch of fat asses, and that we've, the software level is not, is overshot the hardware level, and the same thing with, this drive to reproduce. Back when we were living around fires and when, 3/4 of children didn't live past infancy, and even if you live past that, you weren't going to live past 30 or 40 anyway, then maybe the strategy of more kids, is better. And now it's different because
there's 8 billion people on the planet.
There's 8 billion.
No, I get where that argument goes. I think that makes sense. But if something does happen, if World War III does happen, which we're kind of tiptoeing towards that, right? Some nuclear kind of semi-holocaust where the majority of the world, and you have a bunch of people existing in the world for themselves and not for procreating and, carrying on a new generation, teaching a new generation.
So it's kind of like be ready. We want to have a surplus.
Yeah.
In case, in case at
just
some
in
point
case, right?
we
It's
lose
like a
half
splurge,
of us.
right?
There's enough remaining.
Look at how bacteria and viruses procreate. And it just is like, it just keeps growing and growing.
It's not death, it's an excess of growth.
It's an excess of growth. And eventually that excess of growth will kill the body, which would actually serve your argument. Our excess of growth, how if we get up to...
Kills the body, which is the planet. It's not... I actually, it's not my argument.
I know what you're saying, but it is a healthy way of looking at it, though. I think...
But now they're even saying that, like, we need to start... You got some like
we need to start upping the numbers.
Yeah, because it'll start to tank.
Right.
It'll start
really quick because what happens...
And then you have this excess of like old people. Like we don't have a good balance.
I was watching this thing. Musk was talking about how China, how they've tried to engineer men versus women ratios and how many children you can have, and how they're in a real pickle now because they have this surplus of this older population and like a negative of the younger generation. And so when the older generation is dependent on a smaller younger generation, so I guess that begs the question, like, should we be fucking with God? Because God gave us, this kind of model of creation with this 9-month germination period, and we don't have a whole lot of time on this planet. Should we be trying to engineer that? Should we be even doing cloning? You can get into cloning. You can get into a bunch of weird shit like the Matrix, because that's the biggest argument in the and he has that speech where he basically went down the same route you went, like humans are a disease, you're smelling, you're cancer on this planet, yada yada yada. But still Neo triumphs,
and we are the cure.
And we're the cure. Machines are the cure. And that's scary. I think that's really scary. I mean, you see what's happening with like ChatGPT and AI. I mean, I know this is a hot topic, but Now they're doing they're installing chat boxes at drive-throughs. So all our favorite restaurants, like Taco Bell, Wendy's, all these different things, they don't need a human to do that now. It's a software. It's simple. And there's this series of announcements from these fast food chains saying, hey, we don't need a guy to take your order anymore.
I get it. Imagine how much money they can save.
Right. I mean, and especially in California when the minimum wage for fast food is $20 an hour now, right? So what's a company going to do?
Of course they're going to do that.
Of course they're going to do it even if it's not $20 an hour, really. That's my argument. But that's crazy.
I sympathize with some of the problems behind that, but 9 times out of 10, I'd rather talk to a chat GPT box than some of the people I meet in drive-thrus.
Right. And it's cheerful. They program it.
As long as it's accurate. I mean, there's a cliche around, at work I have to call a lot of things, services, and then there'll be these automated, if you want to talk to this line, go, press this.
Right.
And it's oftentimes challenging. I feel like I'm in, Kafka's The Castle, and I can never get to someone or never find my way through it because the technology just isn't really dialed in. But the chat GPT stuff.
Well, and all this new stuff, it's the future is like now, because I watched it, or I can't remember who I was listening to, but they had a demo of this chat box that I think is going into Wendy's like now. It's happening. They're converting certain stores.
Are you sure Wendy's?
I think it was Wendy's, yeah. And it is like, and Taco Bell's doing it too. They just announced a couple days ago.
You know what? I really like Wendy's.
I know.
Did you know that?
Yeah, well, I like Wendy's too.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with a little Wendy's.
Mm-hmm.
The bacon. What is it? that little cheeseburger thing with
Baconator.
The Baconator, man.
Yeah. There's a Wendy's around the corner from me, and they said that they might have to move out because the rent prices are getting high. Developers are asking for more and more and more. So even the poor little Wendy's there on the corner can't pay the bills. Well, but maybe with this chat GPT thing, maybe that'll be the answer to my prayers. Maybe I'll still have my favorite.
It very well could be.
My favorite and guilty pleasure.
Well, they have that one McDonald's in Austin that everything's automatic, and it just takes like 1 or 2 people to like go in and recalibrate the machines, and it literally just gives you your food. Mm-hmm. You order, it's all everything. It's all through like an assembly line kind of thing. On tracks and stuff. There's a video on YouTube about it. It's called like the automatic McDonald's or something, but it is insane.
Most people you share that with them and they are really off-put. Wouldn't you say that would be the average reaction to that type of development? Like you were to share that at a dinner table, how would most people react? They'd be kind of disgusted. They'd be sort of confused. Is
it like an antibiotic to a bacteria? Like we're the bacteria.
Yeah.
And the antibiotic is slowly getting introduced to the system.
Yeah.
And we're
the cure. Like get back to the Matrix thing.
Yeah, the cure. And we're going, whoa.
Is that why we're off put by it? Because we know that it's just a matter of time before it completely makes us obsolete.
Probably. It's a knee jerk kind of thing. I talk because I use ChatGPT. I love that. I love that software. It's amazing for doing emails and just day-to-day tasks. And it's not like it's doing everything for me. I have to write out all the stuff that I want, but it just cleans it up. It makes it better. It makes it way more efficient. And so I trained a couple people on how to use it. And yeah, especially from like the boomers and the slightly older generation. The beautiful thing about our generation, like the sub 30s, early 40s guys, is we kind of are caught in the middle, right? We're a Generation X kind of, right? You're a little younger.
Millennial.
Yeah. We grew up with some technology, but with not too much technology. So we're good with technology, but we're not like totally teched out. Yeah. And so we're almost like the watchers of it all.
We're sort of fortunate in that way.
Yeah. We've benefited
because you look at the boomers and it's kind of sad, right?
Yeah.
They're just so far behind the 8 ball when it comes to just maneuvering through a smartphone or doing anything like that.
And then
it's hopeless. It's like learning a new language.
What I've noticed with the boomers, this is kind of, I don't know if you've noticed this, but this is like probably a social problem, big one, is that they're glued to their phones just as much as a millennial is. Almost more so. I've noticed that with older people around me. And I'm talking like 60s, 70s.
What are they doing on their phones?
They're just
Facebook?
on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, TikTok,
Scrolling away.
scrolling away, and it's like watching a fly flying into one of those sticky traps.
You know what I say? We should scroll more.
We should scroll more.
Hot take. Unpopular opinion.
Scroll till your heart.
I'm going to bring it back to that, again, a JP thing around TV. I told you.
Yeah.
This idea that one of the things that has made us smarter as a species in leaps and bounds was the advent of the television.
Right.
You know, most people would say, man,
Hyper smart. Yeah,
it's just AI, the way AI, what is it, large language models work is it's just an input of a tremendous amount of information. And so TV, suddenly you have TV on and you have all this information, this narrative information, this language information. And now we got scrolling. It's just on speed. Information.
And it's designed for your brain. It's designed to keep you interested.
Yeah.
Like 24/7. It's funny. I wrote a little philosophy take after watching Nietzsche, because I'm starting to do kind of like these different writings, and this one is about passion being a good, obsession being a good, not just passion, but obsession, being absolutely obsessed with something, how that serves over, even if I even try to justify using cocaine, right? Because
you're working on this now?
Yeah.
For what purpose?
Just, I don't know, maybe a book one day. I don't know.
Are you?
Yeah, just for fun. I'll show it to you after the I didn't even it's something I just started doing like a couple nights ago. And what I do is I'll talk into the voice recorder of like whatever idea I'm thinking about, and then I'll put that through, what is it? It's not ChatGPT, but it's another AI recognizing thing, and it'll write it out verbatim, like how I said it, and then I'll doctor it up a little bit and copy it down, and so passion or obsession as a good thing, even in think about this, maybe, because this is very similar to what you're saying, right? Me being addicted to cocaine for so many years might have been the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Even though it was miserable and, horrible, I lied, cheat, and steal for it.
But not because of it in itself, but because of what it led to?
What it led to, right? So all passions and obsessions, like obsessions lead to something. It's going to, right? And I think of Nietzsche when I think of this, right? It's more, we might think it's life-denying to be completely obsessed with heroin, right? Or cocaine or sex or whatever it is, fill in the blank, right? Buying shit. But that obsession, if you can survive it and stay alive, right? It doesn't kill you, you will grow from that.
And what's the difference between an obsession and just a passion?
Yeah.
The amount of focus and interest that it takes to take something to the point where it's great, to write a book, to write a symphony, to do any of these, to make a nuclear weapon. The amount of focus and attention and dedication it takes can only be born out of something like an obsession. It
has to be an obsession. I mean, think of all the great inventors. I mean, they're literally like, I don't need to eat, honey, all they care about is that piece of art.
And we admire that, right?
And we admire it and we benefit from it. Look at Steve Jobs. You don't think that guy was, watch the movie, I know it wasn't a perfect thing of who he really was, but that dude kind of put his family aside. I mean, all he cared about was making this Apple computer. That's it. It was like 24/7.
And we accept that someone like that can be kind of a dickhead.
Right. And I mean, you can look at that in music, art. Like, you got to have moderation, but this I don't know. It just this thought came that no, obsession is a good. It might be the only thing that's good.
Rather than, people do these like technology diets, and they put timers on their phone to restrict. And go on retreats where they leave their phone at home and they even don't talk for a period of time.
Right.
What if we did something where you have to scroll all day?
All day.
You can't take, I don't know what kind of restrictions you could put on it. I mean, could you scroll all day?
I think you can.
You could do everything.
You can eat and scroll.
Yeah, you can go to the bathroom.
I mean, that's where I love to scroll.
That's the best place to scroll.
Taking a big heater.
2 days? 3 days? Should we go 72-hour scroll session? Do nothing else? You have to scroll the entire time.
Yeah.
Just see what happens?
What would happen to somebody?
Do you think you get so sick of it that it would change your relationship with scrolling? It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
There's this idea that a parent finds his kid smoking a cigarette. So what he does is he sits him down and gives him a whole pack and says, you got to smoke this whole thing right here, right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that kind of happened to me with drinking. Like when I was a little older and I wasn't like a young pup, my dad's like, yeah, keep drinking with me. Like one night he just caught me, little pie-eyed. And there was a party. And I think I was in the Navy, so I was older. I wasn't, I was a young pup, but I was, I could drink, right? And it was like, keep hitting this shot until you just can't, you fall off the bar stool and you're just sideways. And then he took me on a hike the next morning, and I was just throwing up miserably. So
and you got sober right after that.
Well, yeah, no, not right after that, but it's one of those things where. And when I mean obsession, I mean an obsession where like the only thing you can think about is having it over and over and over and over again, right? And what is engineering this thought is the idea of joy wanting to perpetuate itself and misery wanting to perpetuate itself infinitely.
In cycles? Or can they both exist in the same place? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, but think of an obsession that you've had. Think of one obsession. It doesn't matter if it's obsession with ping pong, obsession with pickleball, right? Because you've probably been obsessed with a sport like that. I've been obsessed, for example, with cornhole 10 years ago. And I was like the cornhole guy. I got every board, every color, all the bags, everything. And I had a nickname. I was called Kobe because I would just sink them. I got to a point but I would play cornhole so much that my shoulder would hurt. I mean, who would ever think that you could play cornhole that much that your feet are hurting and your shoulder will hurt? And it's not that hard of a game to play. But I did it for years. It was everything to me. It was the game of games. And I think the end result is that I'm a pretty damn good cornhole player whenever I play. You've seen me play. I always, I'm a good contender no matter what age I'm at.
And so based on that, would you say it was worth it?
Yes. It was beautiful.
But is it because you're now a pretty damn good cornhole player, or
I was a good cornhole player back then?
So what was the benefit of it? What was the reward? What was the reason that it was worthwhile?
Camaraderie, friendship, talking shit with the boys,
or just the pleasure of caring about one thing so much that it can be at the expense of everything else.
Everything else.
There's a bit of sacrifice there.
Yeah, that's true, right? Yeah.
Even part of the reason I think people criticize the scrolling obsession is because it's compelling, it's seductive, and we do it at the expense of other things that might be more worthwhile. I think about sometimes I'll spend, it'll be a day off and I'll just get sucked into the phone for 4 hours, and imagine how much I could have read in 4 hours.
Right. Or wrote about. Right. Or experienced.
Or music I could have made. Or even if I had just walked. If I had walked around town for 4 hours, it probably would have been a more worthwhile.
But is it more of a benefit to shame yourself after the 4 hours is over? Is it more of a benefit to shame yourself for being on it for 4 hours, or to just move on and be like, okay, cool, that's what I did for 4 hours. It was a good thing, right? Like, I don't know. It's an interesting. I mean, I even looked up like what obsessions are, different definitions, and it seems like there's just a stigma against that word. And there is this idea of moderation. Like you have to everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. Young chap.
The middle path.
The middle path.
From Aristotle to Buddha, there are these old examples of extolling moderation.
Mm-hmm. But is that just life denying?
Is that just safetyism?
Yeah. Is that a blankie?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you just got to jump off the cliff and just obsess. If we didn't obsess on the stuff we have a bad, and I'm not talking about good obsessions, right? I think using a bad obsession or a societal bad obsession is a good extremity to examine, right? Because like, how can being addicted to cocaine and obsessed with cocaine be good for somebody?
How about being obsessed with like a resentment?
Yeah.
A ruminating, angry, bitter thought.
You want to kill that person, or they want to kill you.
And you can't think of anything else. You
Right.
can't get it out of your head, even if you'd like to.
Right.
There it is.
Where does it go? Where does that? So think of a resentment you had against a person, a place, or a thing, right? That's so deep rooted. I had a resentment over Puerto Rico, of all places. I lived there, and I just had a horrible experience living there, and I was a total alcoholic, degenerate piece of shit, right? And experienced just like a horrible experience, and I had this resentment towards a place, right? And it took me a long time to, I don't know, walk through that, right?
Yeah.
Think of it like a resentment you've had towards somebody that maybe like effed you over.
I can think of one right now.
What? Go for it.
I mean, I'm just saying I can think of current resentments I have.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble with,
Yeah, you would.
anything like that. But no, really. But like, think of something in your past where you were just super resentful at somebody. But it gets to a point where it's like a pimple. So this idea of a pimple, right? That passion or that obsession, the tension just builds and builds and builds. And it got to a point, like with the cornhole example, it got to the point where I just like stopped playing it every day with the dudes. You know what I mean? I would do it on the week. I kind of naturally just moved on to other stuff.
You gave up.
I gave up, right? I could have been a cornhole champion.
You weren't obsessed enough.
I know. I should have been on ESPN.
You took the middle road.
I took the middle road, right? But if I would have kept in that obsession,
Great things could have happened.
Great things could have happened.
You wouldn't be so mid-level. Right. But it is interesting how resentments do stick around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There's this air of superiority, of being right, justified anger. What's that all about?
Well, I think you're replacing yourself with God in a way.
You are. You're becoming your own little God.
Yeah.
Right? And you're smiting the person, place, thing, whatever it is, situation. You're casting judgment down, off with their heads. It's an egotistical sort of thing.
But how could
and you're a chump, and you're being bullied, and you don't have the gall to do what it takes to stand up and correct the situation and either get out of it or change it or do something about it. And that mounting feeling of resentment is the engine that eventually drives you to do what's necessary to make things happen.
What, like kill the person or lash out at them
or leave,
right? Like
say something or stand up.
Yeah, a toxic relationship where you got
so much resentment is just not expressing yourself because you're afraid, right? You're afraid to speak the truth because you're afraid if you do that the person who has power over you will make decisions that will make things worse for you. So you sort of stay in this kind of state of, I don't know, of servitude towards something because you're afraid of confrontation, you're people pleasing, whatever it is. But inside you have this, mounting feeling.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there is a difference between, I guess you could be obsessed with a resentment, right? You could be obsessive over a resentment because it's something that's plaguing you. But maybe that's not the type of obsession that I'm trying to get at. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's more of like an individual, like I'm obsessed with sparkling waters, right? And my whole refrigerator's full of them. And it's been a year-long obsession. Like, I take pictures of my refrigerator when I go to Costco and I fill it up, and I feel like, and then when that refrigerator starts depleting, I start feeling insecure, right? But it's always on my head. It's always in my head.
Is
right?
it always?
Yeah, it's always a thing.
Every day at some point you're at work and you're thinking about
I have to
re-upping?
I have to have tasty drinks. That's what I say, right? But it's a healthy thing. It drives me forward, right? Like it instead of drinking beer.
What it is also is it's caring about something.
Right.
And it's having interest in something.
Totally obsessed with it. Totally. Everything is bent on it, right? And it could be sports, it could be music, it could be art, and I think there's something there that it gets overlooked. It's always deemed bad, but then yet we champion the guys who were the ones that took their obsession to the full end. I mean, look at the philosophers. They were obsessed with philosophy. They were obsessed with going to a cabin and writing all day until they literally go mad. Descartes, Nietzsche. I mean, the list goes on and on. Lock yourself in a cave, starve yourself. You can be obsessed with that. You can be obsessed with losing weight, gaining weight, right? Cold plunge. I mean, it's like, get obsessed, I guess is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
What do you think?
I mean, I'm still thinking about the now I'm on the anger thing.
Obsessed with anger?
Yeah. Or just the idea of a perpetuating feeling and where it goes. You said, where does it go?
Yeah, where does it end?
Well,
does it end with death?
Processing it is sort of a therapeutic sort of term, this idea that there's a situation within me that creates conflict and I can't let it go. Let it go is sort of a recovery cliche. Have you ever thought about that, though? When I'm letting something go, what does that mean? Because I'm obviously not letting it go. It's a metaphor. Nothing's being let go in physical reality. It just means I'm not thinking about it.
You're putting your attention somewhere else.
I'm not mentally tied to it. And how do I let something go
properly?
One way is that I process it. What does that mean? How do people process things? One way they do is they write about it or they talk about it. They try to make sense of it, which is just, I think it's a bunch of reframing, right? Something happened in the world that isn't get to a place where I can digest it. But maybe that's just a bunch of self-deception. Maybe me and you get together and we just keep spinning it around until I can swallow it. We just lie to each other back and forth until we can, mold the clay of the reality of our situation to a place where I can stop thinking about it so much and I can move on with my life.
Or you wear yourself out.
Yeah.
Like that I feel like, there's a situation I have with my neighbor, right? And I drive by his house and I just don't like the guy, right? We had a whole situation I won't go into, but you know what it is,
yeah,
right?
With the chickens.
With the chickens and his dog attacking me and me shooting his dog and all this stuff. And I just don't like the guy. But see, now I still don't like the guy, right? I still think he's a total asshole and he's totally in the wrong. And so would the cops. They'd say the same thing. But I'm worn out. You know what I mean? He's still my neighbor. I have to drive by his house every day, and it's just worn out.
Well, then it becomes
I haven't. But the point is, I haven't made peace. You know what I mean? There's no. If I saw the guy face to face, I
don't forgive him. I don't understand him.
Yeah,
He
doesn't forgive me or understand me.
I just realized that my resentment isn't doing me any good, and it's not serving me.
I just wore myself out of it. But if I see him, it might come right up, right? It might just be like, you motherfucker, right? And it's been going on for months, almost a year. And there's and I did try to give the olive branch the first time it happened. I went over there and I said, hey, look.
Would you like to live a way where you could be free of all that?
I don't know. Maybe that helps keep you. It animates you.
It does. That's what I mean.
Right. It's animating.
Yeah.
Like you have to be.
It's a motivator.
It charges you. And I think that's the reason why I keep coming to this idea that obsession is a good.
And resentment is a good, and we
Is
should
it
have
good?
more of it.
We should have a lot more of
A
it.
lot more of it.
Like until you can't.
Maybe that's
handle
the
it.
problem, that we don't have enough resentment. It's just tepid, right? We need to. It's just like we need to bring it up to a rolling boil.
Yeah, just
Not just this like room temperature lukewarm water.
yeah, because that's gutless.
Yeah.
That's weak. We need to overcome it. Well, I think that's what Nietzsche would say. We need to overcome man.
Sometimes
yeah.
you'd be like in sports too. I mean, so you mentioned pickleball. I play with my partner
Right.
almost every week, and so we'll have a dynamic. We'll play together, and even though it's just a nice, friendly Sunday pickleball game, I'll go through things where it's war for me.
Right.
I'm out there, and I'm getting big, and I am like head in the game, and I start crushing it, and I'll get mad. And I think within sports there is this expectation of having some decorum and good sportsmanship,
Right.
and to not keep a level head can sometimes be counterproductive because you lose control. But also sometimes if it's exercised properly, that type of anger can be really productive. All of a sudden it's not tepid anymore. It is
Visceral. It's real.
Tony Robbins. I've seen some Tony Robbins stuff where he'll get people because we're so prone to just tired
Meekness and weakness. Yeah.
How many times if you work anywhere, how many times people they don't know what to say, so they just, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
People talk about how tired they are all the time.
And how busy they are.
Yeah.
And,
This weariness.
yeah. Where's
that
that spark?
Yeah.
Where's that resentment?
You got to get it through resentment.
Right.
Maybe that's the way. It's not through better diet.
Well, but look at where all your resentments got you. It got you to a point where it popped, right? Like if you really think about a true drug addict alcoholic, right? You have these resentments. You think the world's wronged you. You're in a complete delusion. It's like you're riding it till the wheels come off. Everybody's wrong. You're omnipotent. You're your own God, basically. Mm-hmm. Selfish, self-centered, run riot. And what happens at the end of that? You either die or you get sober and you find God.
Yeah. But what that kind of is I was trying to be God and I failed.
Right.
And now I know my place, which is I'm a meek bitch.
Yeah. So you
and
go
I
right
better
back
and I
into
better
it.
not be resentful all the time, right? I just better keep it cool and not ruffle anyone's feathers and be nice and be principled and share all my toys with everybody.
Right.
Right?
Right. And then
but maybe the answer is that you just you failed at being God. Try again, motherfucker.
Right.
Double down.
Yeah.
Overcome. Be God.
Overcome your weakness.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's funny because why do you think so many people relapse? Right? They get in this mode. They get sober, and they're all stoked. Or they're not stoked, but they're dicks in the dirt. Everything. But then they start building a new life, and then they realize, I got to do this through humility and meekness, basically. And then a couple years go down, or a couple months go down, and they are miserable
because they didn't get all the things they wanted.
Right.
And they figured, if I was just humble and meek enough, that maybe God would reward me.
Right.
It's a Cain and Abel kind of thing, right? It wasn't the proper sacrifice.
It wasn't the proper sacrifice. And then
you get resentful.
And then that resentment leads you out. And maybe you try again.
Yeah.
Try again. Because you kind of went through that.
We all do.
Right.
I mean,
but I'm saying in your sobriety tale, right?
Yeah.
You had 8 years sober, real hard hitting motherfucker. But somewhere, and I remember this is when I met you. There was that time where you were kind of starting to kind of feel a little jaded, right? In sobriety, and then you went to a different group, and
what do we get jaded about? I think that one thing that we're doing is we're always building, and some things come up, which is, I've been putting in all this effort to build something, and I don't have much to show for it. What's the point?
Right. Fuck it.
Yeah. Or I have been building and there's a lot to show for it, but what's it for anyway? I've got all this stuff. I have all these cash and prizes, but it hasn't really changed anything fundamentally. Right?
Right.
And then how about this one? I've built all this stuff, and the more I've built, the more complicated it's gotten, and I just can't manage it anymore. Because now there's too many people that rely on me.
Right.
There's too much responsibility. There's too many relationships. The whole house of cards that I've been building is just too much. Within recovery, there's this kind of cliche about we build up a bright future and then it comes crashing down.
Yeah, we tear down the brick wall.
And we always chalk that up to self-sabotage. There's this idea that it's a strange belief. It's that kind of like secretly, unconsciously down there's this little self-saboteur that just wants to wait until you're almost successful and then mess the whole thing up.
Is that the spirit of Dionysus?
Maybe.
Some kind of possession.
So one thing you could say is, well, maybe deep down I'm really afraid of the responsibility. I've thought about this. Some people say, I'm not afraid of failure, I'm afraid of success.
Right.
What does that mean?
You tell me.
I mean, I think that they're one and the same. The reason I'm afraid of success is because if I succeed, then I'm going to get more things that I could lose. And hence, it's the failure, really. It's just the more success can lead to a more
Yeah.
Also, I just think that the person who says I realized I'm not afraid of failure, I'm afraid of success. I don't know.
Are you just lazy?
I think that's sort of I don't know. That's just a way of saying like I never played the game, so you can't criticize my performance because I was never even on the field.
Right.
Yeah, so it's another way to abdicate responsibility and criticism. But still, this idea that inside us there's this saboteur that at the end of the day, like right before it comes, it's just going to tear everything down. But maybe it's just that in building, we're the same way we have a drive to procreate and spread our seed, we have a drive to build. Because if we didn't, we would die. Because nature is trying to consume us at all times. We've got diseases which are trying to seep into our body and kill us from the inside out. We have predators all around us. We've created all of these walls, all of these things to protect us from just the ruthless fact of nature, the dog-eat-dog world that we live in. Mm-hmm. And so we have this well-intentioned, important drive to build.
And the more there is to lose.
And so it's not that I had an inner saboteur that just, decided to trick me at the last moment. It's just that the thing that I've built became more than I could manage.
Yeah.
And that there was a failure in it.
It's almost like you're building a monster that eats you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that even a good life is growing and then watching it fail, but then not letting it fail all the way. Right? And sometimes those failures can be a result of, that's where we find, I guess, maybe to your obsession point, that's where we find, we want to find failures, right? If we're building something, if the weight is heavy, then it'll show us the weak point. And it can buckle a little bit. Maybe the whole ship doesn't sink, but it's building it up until something buckles, and then going in.
Fixing it.
And sometimes too heavy, and I'm going to cut out relationships, and I'm going to stop buying so much, and I'm going to, just cut off the growth everywhere I can.
Start eating healthy and running, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if I do that too much, then I'm life denying again. Then I'm just want to be, Mr. Equanimity, just sit there, neutral state, no opinions on anything, real moderate, don't rock the boat.
And this is no dig, but it's like being a janitor that just wants to be a janitor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just milk toast.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of pinged in my head was this idea of, with the resentment with money, right? So people are resentful at people that have money, right?
Yeah.
And like, why is that?
Because they want it.
Because they want it. Because they're, you know what I mean? They haven't stepped up to the plate, gotten obsessed about something to get them the money that they're mad that you have the money that they think that they deserve, or that they know really deep down that they don't deserve it because they're just lazy pieces of shit, not doing anything, not building, right? Not producing. And so their resentment, it's like, give me the money. They want to loot.
money.
Yeah, they want to loot. And that's like
They're
like
looters.
it's like a foundational principle. I mean, this is Ayn Rand kind of stuff, but it's hard to deny that. It's hard to really deny that, you know? I had that conversation today with a guy. You know, I'm like, you're resentful of people that have money because you don't have any money.
Yeah, it's
But
simple.
you can go get that money. You can go make the money. It doesn't matter who the fuck you are. You can go make money. It's not you know, you might have to moonlight.
Can that resentment be the drive to get you the money?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. And then maybe that drives you to an obsession that will get you the money, you know? I mean, doing what we're doing right now is this is the result of an obsession. It is an obsession. We love podcasts. We love philosophy. And so we continue down this road, blindly running into shit, right? Not knowing a fucking thing what we're doing. And we're finding a way. We're making a show one step at a time. We're building something. And will there be a time where it cuts?
And resentful of all those cocksuckers out there who have big success,
huge success,
crappy content.
Right.
Just
Yep.
And here we are. I mean, we're, so much better than all of them. Yeah. Getting just getting scraps.
Yeah, getting chicken for dinner every night. I don't even like chicken. Yeah, Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that where this conversation was going to go. But
I did.
You did.
I had it all planned out.
So I'll definitely that's something that I started is
you know how we got here? We were talking about basically whether monogamy was appropriate or not.
Yeah, let's circle back to that. So I side with the religious view. I think we have to.
That's the safety view. I get it.
Is that the safety view? Because no, but it's creation.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating humans.
Yeah, but you create more if you're not monogamous.
Yeah, no.
Just go and just spread that thing like.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but at least you're procreating. At least you're, you know what I mean? And I think that's the religious thing, is like procreate, because nature is cold and dark and deadly, and like you said, there's predators.
Part of the monogamous thing has probably come from, for us, we have to more than just spread our seed. If we want to have successful offspring, we have to rear.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to. I don't know if there's a way around.
What's the way around? What's the hack?
Our guest that was supposed to be here tonight. He was a polyamorous.
Yeah.
And what does polyamory lead to? It leads to some pretty bad ends.
Or does it? Maybe that's.
I mean, you've been to play parties. You've been to polyamory.
I mean, some of those people are cool.
No, I think they're great. I get it.
They got something going on.
But I look at it like I grew out of that. I grew into something else. So I don't know. It's a tough one. Because there's a lot of nature hierarchies that don't have this monogamy thing. But then they also don't have the maturity and the gestation rate that we do.
Do you and your wife talk about feelings of attraction you have towards other people with each other?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, no, we're open about it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, oh man, that guy was really good looking, or that girl was really hot. Like, I'll tell her that about actors. Yeah, like Gad Galal and, some of these people that kind of look like her. It's funny because most of the people that I find really attractive look a lot like her, and vice versa.
Are you more prone to share those ones with her than the other ones?
I share them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, I purposely, and maybe this is life denying. I'm going against my own passion argument or my obsession argument, but I purposely don't have any girlfriends at all. I don't chit chat with girls. I just don't.
You have no friends?
Yeah, because I know myself. I know that I'm just going to want to put my wanker in them. It doesn't even matter. They don't even have to be that good looking. If I'm around a girl too much and too invested in the relationship, the best I can do is working relationships. You
And
know,
even that,
even that can be, yeah, it can get dicey. But I worked in an industry where that's all it was. I worked for Abercrombie and Fitch for many years, and everybody wanted to bang everybody. And I walked that straight line, and I never.
you can kind of understand the fundamentalist religious types. You think about like Islam, where they have women they have all these norms around, got to keep women in bags, and you can't talk to anyone.
Well, but the interesting thing about that is the hijab is it's kind of to protect them.
Yeah.
Because if a woman in Iran or Saudi Arabia goes walking down the street with her hair out and her tits out, she is going to get berated by dudes, like taxi dude, like you. And that's not even that's not a dig on Middle Eastern men. Their society is not like ours. That's not.
Well, it happens in ours too.
It happens in ours, but to a lesser degree because we've been trained not to do that, right? We've been trained. I kind of have some thoughts on this. This is another thing but
Here, let's get into it.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Well, but the thing is so women are always revealing more probably than anywhere else on the planet, right? But our society is formed around accepting that, and that's normal. And yeah, of course, harassment happens and all that stuff, right? But we've been trained, or we've been taught that to kind of reserve ourselves and not be these pigs and catcall at people. You don't see catcalling like in Southern California really, because
Other cultures.
other cultures you do, but like you just it's looked down upon. It's looked at like you're trying too hard, dude. You're a loser. You know what I mean? Anybody that's a catcaller in a group of friends, of our friends, because we all live out here. It's like, you get a guy from out of town that starts doing it in front of a group. I don't know.
It's a bad look.
It's a bad look. You look like a dipshit.
The public will start to
like, what is wrong with this guy?
If it goes too far.
Yeah. Do you want to lose your job? Like, are you an idiot? So we grew up in that culture, but other cultures are different.
What do you think about the sexualization of breasts?
I mean, it's the mother's milk, right? Like, milk is like it's probably an evolutionary thing. Right. And
do you think it's kind of weird that, men, women to be so into breasts like babies are?
Well,
it's like we have this instinct that we had as babies that we just never dropped, and it's somehow mixed in now with like
sexualization. Yeah.
Like intercourse and sex and romance and like mommy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that?
But it makes sense, though.
But how about what I wanted to talk about? like the Free the Nipple campaign. There's and with breastfeeding, there's these movements because it's, the breast is it needs to be covered up. You can't show it on TV. You can't, it's censored because it's sexualized. Now for women that's a problem because, now if I expose my body, which is just me, then I might, it's like the hijab thing, right? I might inspire in a dangerous man a feeling, and it's like this victim blaming thing, right? Like I didn't want this, and they had a reaction towards it, and then they acted a certain way,
right?
But to breastfeed in public, and there's people that maybe think that's inappropriate because of all these reasons, because of the things it brings out in people, and how inappropriate that is, how oppressive that is to people who just, it's very natural. I mean, you're a mother, your baby's hungry all the time.
Right.
Like, why can't we just live in a society where that can just happen and it can be normalized and it's not sexualized? But can we really unsexualize the breast? And do even the people who want the breast to be unsexualized really want the breast to be unsexualized?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, what an asset.
I know.
Like you have like a major weapon there. You got the sexualization of, that's like a value, right?
Yeah.
It's a value.
Big titties.
That you have, but you have resentments around, or you you want it to be valued only in the ways you want it to be valued at the times you want it to be valued. You want your cake, you want to eat it too.
It's on your terms. Yeah. Well, it's funny when you go to the gym, there's been this kind of, I wouldn't call it a resentment, but this complaint about how men can wear like tank tops or no shirt at the beach, right? And just board shorts. But in a weird way, men are usually more covered up at the gym than females, right? Like they can go to like Equinox or 24 or whatever, and they literally look like they're in underwear. Now, some men do it too, but for the most part, we're wearing a shirt and shorts and, socks and shoes. You're not seeing like all our shape, completely down to the skin. And why is that okay? Right? Why is that okay? Why is it okay for a woman to be able to literally like look like they're just in a skin suit? But if a man does it, it's like,
Why do you think?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I mean, I think we just have complex, we have complex relationships with our own nature. That the feeling of sexual arousal is one that we don't have a lot of control over, and it can bring a lot of good things into our life, and it can create a lot of chaos.
But like, imagine a guy walking around with a cock sock.
Yeah.
Right, Borat. Remember Borat and his like one piece thing, and he's like down by the river cleaning his clothes and shit. Like, if a dude walked around in a cock sock,
well, that comes back to
he would be like a perv.
Yeah, and we just generally don't appreciate the male form as much as we do the female form.
Right, we worship it. It's a goddess.
It is.
It's a goddess.
And even from females
creation.
too. Females can really
it's a creation.
A beautiful woman.
Right.
There's just something that's asymmetrically sexy and beautiful about a female form.
So what you're telling me is that they're on a pedestal compared to males. We're like brutes. We're hairy, pale, or whatever your race is. But you just we got the belly when we get a little
hairy,
just
smelly.
nasty, smelly, sweaty.
Yeah.
And so it's like, cover that shit up, motherfucker. You can take your shirt off at the beach. That's okay. Get a little suntan because you don't got any cool titties. Your titties look like a baby.
Funny thing about titties is that humans are unique. The fact that have like apes, I believe, their breasts will sort of plump up when they have children. But if you look at a female like chimpanzee, they don't have titties. They're just not walking around with titties.
Yeah.
I think after they have children, like their nipple, like a dog, like you see a dog,
it might sag a little.
Nibbles might change.
But it doesn't look appealing, really.
But they don't just have tits 24/7.
Yeah.
The fact that humans have tits 24/7 is unique to us as a species.
Yeah.
And it probably evolved out of some sort of strategy around mating.
Yeah, selection. Yeah, of course.
It's like a flex.
And also the butt, right? The heart-looking butt with the thin waist. There's just something about it that drives us crazy.
Yeah.
It does.
Which I guess it's a sign of fertility.
Right.
That's what we're attracted to.
Right. But it could also be, but think about it this way. It could also be a sign of fertility if a young woman is overweight. They're still just as fertile.
Yeah.
But the line in where the hip goes in, right? Where the hip goes in. That's what men, and then the gap between the legs.
They lose their minds.
We lose our minds over that. And then the titties hanging
What
off
is it?
of that?
It's just
like
angles,
weird
right?
Angles.
It's just angles, and if the angles are just right, it's just like you're hypnotized.
You're done. Like something is going to happen.
Something's going on.
Something's going on in your pants.
Yeah.
Public, or the women in public feeding their kids. And I just see the creepy dude at the bus stop.
You want to catch a glimpse.
Yeah, want to catch a glimpse. Every man does.
Because if you get that glimpse,
it's for the spank bank.
The fucking something's gonna happen.
Yeah, you're gonna get like a
you're gonna
physiological.
Get something.
Yeah, you're gonna get a little hit. Like the titty.
And you're expected to just not get that hit, right?
Yeah. How life denying is that? Yeah. So it goes back to the hijab, right? Like. That's something that I think, and I'm not saying that they're doing it right, we're doing it wrong, but I understand it a little bit more about like covering up the hair, because hair is like that too. When a woman has like beautiful flowing hair, it will drive certain men crazy. I mean, beautiful hair is like it's like it's like look at salons and the erection of all these
everyone with their hair obsessed
these
around their hair
these
and
traditions of hair,
all these extensions. Dude, I didn't realize how many women how many women dye their hair,
right?
And how many women have extensions.
Oh my God,
it's all over the place.
Insane. And how jealous women get when their friend has the thick hair and they don't.
We're in so much trouble with the fillers and the injections and the
it's everywhere
and the hair stuff. Like you just get a natural woman or person, and it's like not even fair anymore.
Right. You can take like a fugly looking person and make them into like a 9. You can take them to the doctor and with the dudes too.
Yeah,
they do it too. They do like the muscle implants and stuff.
Well, this is really, I don't know how much of that's going on.
It's going on.
Steroids, man. I was like Golds the other day. It's insane.
Oh yeah,
it's everywhere.
And
now with the TRT stuff.
Oh, I know.
There's a clinic on every corner.
I know. It's crazy. I was watching this thing about Dana White's transformation. The owner of the UFC, and like he's all jacked now, and he's got this doctor that is prescribing all this, like he's like transformed him, right? And they're talking about all the different things he does, right? Like red light therapy, cold plunges, and some other stuff, working out, eating healthy, all this stuff. And then in the documentary, he's like, yeah, and he's, we noticed his testosterone was a little low, so he's on a light dose of TRT, but that's really not a big deal. And he just like brushes that off like it's nothing. It's like that is the biggest deal. When dudes take testosterone, we become like monkeys. Like we become gorillas. It's insane. It's like that's the difference. It's not the cold plunge. It's not the red light therapy, man. That's all.
That's not doing
that's
shit.
Ancillary.
That's not doing shit.
It's like maybe that helps you like not be sore or something, right? But TRT is the thing that's making you look good, bro.
Yeah.
That's it. And Tren, like I saw a guy the other day with a shirt. His tank top says, "I love Tren." Just walking around.
Yeah,
Golds.
it's normalizing Tren around here. It's a new era.
This is a new
TRT really is like the lip filler of like the modern man.
It is. Yeah. I mean, you've done it. So
I not like the this. I did the normalized Tren.
Yeah. You didn't do TRT.
No.
But yeah. So
you were trying to walk me down that path a minute ago.
Well, what I was
during dinner, you were like, "You get your testosterone check lately."
Oh, I was touching on that.
I was
touching on that. I was like, if your sexual drive is a little funky, maybe you don't got enough testosterone, brother. That's a thing. It's a thing. I mean, when you get over 35.
So, are you suggesting I go down to the local man clinic?
Yes. Get obsessed. Get another obsession. No, don't do it. But that's funny because the breast, going back to the breast thing, I'm more of a titty man than an ass man.
Yeah.
I know you're kind of on that same.
I am too, man. It's not popular anymore. It's just not. It's not cool to say you're tits man.
Everybody wants to be an ass man.
Where did that come from?
I think rap popularized
Rap did it.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think we're gonna see a swing in the other direction again? Should we like pave the way?
I think so.
Let's do it. Let's do it right here, right now.
Yeah, I think
tits are back.
Tits are way.
They never went anywhere. Let's be real.
No. Tits are mother's milk. That's where life comes from. That's nurturing. That's I mean, that's all that stuff.
And what's an ass?
An ass.
What is that? What do you associate with an ass?
An ass is where a piece of shit comes out of. I mean, they are nice though. You can't be mad at the ass, but. Yeah, it is way more popular in like these kind of bougier gyms for women to get that ass.
Well, you can work out.
Anybody can get a good ass too. Some might take longer than others.
You can work with that.
But you can work with that. You can have kind of a bad genetics.
You can't exercise tits.
You can't get tits unless you want to go to Dr. Beverly Hills and get tits.
Yeah, that's the only way.
That's the only way. Unless you have them too. I mean, some women have naturally perfect tits. It's just. Yeah.
This is going to be a great conversation.
I know, dude.
What's happening?
I know. What is happening? We're just all over the place. How long have we been going?
I don't know. We're just getting started.
Tits are better than ass. That's an uppercase truth.
Yeah.
100%.
Capital T.
Capital T.
Undisputable.
Ass is a second. but yeah, I think I really do see how the hijab being a good thing in certain contexts. Is that bad? Well, but think about it. Oh,
I just want to wait. Let me recap this. Tits are the best. Ass is second, and I can see the hijab being a good thing in certain circumstances.
Yeah, well, but all right.
Let's just take that.
Let's go back. I didn't finish my point from before.
All right, let's see you salvage this one.
So we grew up in SoCal, tits and ass out.
Yeah.
Right. We're trained to kind of put a temperance on, our catcallish aggressive.
And
nature.
we're even more, conservative. You go to all the nude beaches in Europe, and you can find there's a Pepsi commercial with some chick taking her tits out, and it's just right there on TV.
Right.
We're more prudish here in some respects.
Yeah, but we grew up in a society that's melting pot. It's open, and it's okay for women to walk around in Lululemon skin tight stuff 24/7, and we might look, but we're not like dogs, like come over here, girl. But then you go over to
Now, some women might disagree.
Yeah, but juxtapose that with going over to the Middle East, and then put all those women out there on the streets in the Middle East.
We should try it
in downtown.
Let's do like a Mr. Beast.
Don't try it. You get arrested.
We'll do like a Mr. Beast show, but instead of like giving away Teslas, we're taking like OnlyFans models to the most conservative parts of the desert.
Right.
And seeing what happens.
Right.
Dude, that might be a good show.
I know that is a good idea. Yeah, that's
Whoa.
funny. That's funny.
This is where good ideas come from.
This is where good ideas come from.
Yeah.
When you're jiving. But go like the dudes over there they're used to seeing their mothers in a hijab.
They probably get mad.
Yeah, no, they do.
Right? They get mad.
They get offended.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? You trying to have
dare you put that temptation, how dare you instill that feeling in me?
Right. So when we go over to places like that with our Western American ideas, right? They fail miserably. Democracy fails miserably over there as well.
It fails miserably here.
It kind of has
honestly
been. Yeah,
Nietzsche. I've been reading too much Nietzsche. Because I really am starting to feel more and more like this democracy thing is a terrible idea.
Yeah. But we're a constitutional republic technically.
Yeah, that's true.
We are.
That helps.
That does help.
Because every person gets a vote is insane.
Yeah. Wait. Unpack that a little bit. So jobs are good.
Yeah, voting is bad. This is the truth comes out.
The truth comes out.
I don't. Certain decisions that need to be made. If I tried to ask everyone what their opinion was, it would be a disaster.
Right.
For some things, you just have to go. You have to defer to the people who know best to make the decisions.
The experts.
And the experts. And boom, here it is. And then people are going to have to either fall in line or they're not.
So could you peel that back the layer back even more and say only property owners should vote?
This is where I become kind of libertarian, I think. Because ultimately, the amount of voting power you have should be equivalent to the amount of competence and expertise you have. But there's no way you can't run that arithmetic all the time.
Well, there's got to be some kind of standard that you have to jump, like a hoop you got to jump through.
Yeah, but for every issue, can you think about all the things that have to be voted on from, just like street laws to norms and whatever policies of who we should go to war with. Yeah,
but shouldn't it be the people that contribute the most to the tax base should be the ones that decide what happens with their money, for example, right? Now, everybody in America, which is crazy, but we all pay sales tax, which is, I think, madness. But, so everybody's got skin in the game, technically. So maybe that's why democracy is justified, where everybody gets a chance to vote, but you're voting for somebody to go vote for you. right? Because that's
Yeah.
what the democratic republic is all about. We're not. If we were a true democracy,
Everybody would vote on everything.
yeah,
It'd be insane. There's
Yeah,
no,
we would be done. We wouldn't be a nation.
Yeah,
That's, I
there's
mean,
so much
Plato even
confusion.
said democracy is like one of the most evil things there is.
Yeah.
The mass, the mob. It doesn't make any sense. But I could see us tearing it back down to the people that are contributing the more have more weight
yeah.
on the matter. And I think that's
I think that's fair. I just
think
don't
that's
think there's a
fair.
way
Yeah,
to exactly make that happen in practice.
well, maybe the people
How
that
to,
are
how to calculate? If it's just like who has gives the most in taxes? Is that what you're
yeah,
suggesting?
I would say it would have to be something like that. So
and then you get one vote, or you get 1.75 votes, or
right,
you get
right. So like I would get 2 votes, you would get 1 because you're a renter, right? And like that's just the way it is. And then when you become a property owner, you get 2 votes. You know, like or whatever, however the metric is, it doesn't matter. But something like that, I think, is necessary because somebody that is got more skin in the game as far as taxes is going to be wary on voting for somebody like.
But I thought you didn't
Trump or-
believe in property taxes in the first place.
I think it's bullshit. Yeah.
So how you going to square that?
But if I'm going to give the privilege of paying property taxes 2 installments,
But what if
every
we're
year-
not?
Well, if we're not, then we got to come up with a different metric.
All right, what metric?
Maybe the amount of money you have, right?
Yeah.
Because you're being taxed on that. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't.
I think the problem there, I guess, is that the people who have more money are going to vote in ways that are going to
perpetuate more
their
money.
money.
Yeah, of course,
And
of
then-
course. But the thing is like this is kind of an Ayn Rand libertarian thing. You want the people that have more money
to make more money
because they're the people that provide the jobs and the
they
the
provide your
paychecks.
money.
They provide your money, right? And if you have that incentive that you can just go total Elon Musk if you're an entrepreneur and just shoot to the moon, then that incentivizes it for more people to do that. And so there's an interesting interview of Elon Musk last week where he talks about how California is getting vape is illegal now. Flavored tobacco is illegal. Like, so these things that you would, marijuana is legal and you can go get mushrooms right down the street, right? And just trip your head off or get high as a kite. And that's totally okay. But flavored tobacco is illegal in the most progressive state in the union? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And it's because of this over-regulation thing, right?
And the funny thing is that those laws didn't do anything.
Nothing.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're not going to go
It
anywhere.
hasn't changed at all.
No,
It's just
there's a gray market now.
Yeah.
You can call the homie up and get your vape sent to you.
Every vape shop.
Still has them, right? Yeah, and then they come through and they threaten to fine them, but they don't even have the staff to enforce it. Do you know how much money it would take to really enforce that?
Yeah.
To do a
stay up on them. Here's your fine. If you don't pay it,
yeah,
follow
full
up.
prohibition. Do you
And to start prosecuting.
I mean,
people
look
who
at what prohibition did in Chicago. I mean, that's a fascinating.
Gang
Yeah,
stuff.
the Ken Burns documentary on alcohol is fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Highly recommended.
Al Capone
Yeah,
and-
I mean, it created some of the world's worst gangs ever, and they're still like they're echoes. A lot of the gangs today are echoes from that time. And that was like 100 years ago. So, laissez-faire capitalism, brother.
Yeah. But for being more of a Nietzschean, I think that I have problems with this sort of anarchical view of there's just no head. Everyone is out there for themselves.
Well, we've read a couple of books. You've read a couple of books by Malice, so have I. Mm-hmm. I did that one, The White Pill. But like a view like his is not. There's no head. It's localized governments. It's like in TO, Thousand Oaks, for example, it might be illegal to smoke flavored vapes, but in LA, it's legal.
I want an overlord.
You want, yeah.
I want the biggest dick in town
to tell you what's up.
Just let's get the.
But we've had that. The world's tried that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem with monarchies and kings and stuff like that. Like, and I think Nietzsche, if Nietzsche was alive today, he'd probably say that. He'd probably say that there is a problem to that. there's a danger there. You know, like look at them all, like Stalin and Mao and all these dudes, right? Hitler and
Maybe they just weren't.
yeah, but it's been tried. You know what I mean? Like I think really what the answer is this like this new idea of decentralization, right? Like with cryptocurrency, like this idea of like a non-centralized governing body, right? It's not democracy,
It's just the machine again.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we're creating God, right?
It's the cure
It's the cure. Yeah.
for the human disease.
Well, at least we've tied back in to
We have.
right
Yeah.
to AI again because we went on a little tear on AI, but
Yeah.
there was a thing that Jordan Peterson posted, and there was a response to it. It was hilarious. He was all worried about this new technology and how it's gonna replace all these jobs or something. He posted something, and this one person said, "Well, no, you misunderstand, Jordan Peterson. Like, we're not replacing jobs. We're building God."
Who said that?
Some dude on X, but it was one of the top comments. It's like, yeah. But the thing about some of these AI tech bros, right? So some of these tech bros, they truly believe that. You know, like the ChatGPT creator. I mean, he was on Rogan once, and Musk and him, I think, were best friends. I don't know if you know the story, but they like are not friends because I think somebody like good. It's all going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one thing that populated. Remember that who's that guy who ran for president? The Asian guy that
Andrew Yang.
Yeah, Andrew Yang. He proposed this whole universal income where we're going to have these AI things doing all this manual labor for us, so we can just get this universal income.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I don't know. I mean, I liked him.
I thought he was brilliant.
I thought it was cool. It's just sort of different.
Yeah.
Interesting idea. Universal basic income.
UBA.
Yeah. UBI.
UBI. Sorry, UBI.
I think the argument that it's sort of even like a Dostoevskian argument, which is if you gave us everything we wanted, we would, we wouldn't be satisfied anyway, that we would, create a mess just so we'd have something to do. And this idea that it's like a welfare state thing. If we're all just given our needs, if they're all just met without any effort on our part, the impact that could have on the person or on society.
Wait, so you think we just all become a bunch of Cheeto eating D-bags?
Yeah.
Or
I think it's possible.
Or we'd all become like gym working out muscle maniacs on trend.
We could all be on trend. Lip fillers and trend for everybody from the government.
And big ass titties.
Andrew Yang could just be sending us all TRT.
Here you go for free.
We'll all be microdosing mushrooms and be doing TRT.
But the one thing I could see from his argument is that like if we are meant to transcend to the stars and populate Mars and move on, right, and make ships and go off, maybe we need AI to do all these mundane tasks that we've kind of mastered already. And it'll take care of all that shit so we can focus on the Starship Enterprise.
I mean,
or Star Wars.
This will be kind of maybe a controversial thought, but
just let it out, brother.
There's this idea of all the jobs are gone from America because we've outsourced them all to China.
Right.
I'm like, let them go.
Let's just
I don't want to be. I want to. I don't want to go to the factory. I don't want to be putting together.
But that's you. There's other people out there that want to do that, maybe, or lower IQ. You know what I mean? Like, right?
Yeah.
To each their own, according to their ability. You're sounding communistic to me.
Am I?
Yeah.
With that, with send all the factory jobs, overseas.
Oh no, I guess not. I just
be the opposite.
It'd be the opposite.
Yeah.
It'd be like bourgeois. Mm-hmm. We'd just be the bourgeois. Well, we kind of are the bourgeois state of the world.
Yeah.
All the capital is here.
That's what I mean.
We got it all.
Let's keep it that way.
Let's keep it that way. Just outsource
I'm not trying to
all those dirty
trying
jobs.
to reverse that.
I know, right? But there is something about hard work, though, There is something about using your hands and doing construction.
Being connected to the things you're
yeah,
building.
Yeah, there's something, and you can get obsessed with it, and you become like a craftsman or whatever you do. It's beautiful. You know, there is a beauty to it. You know, some of the contractors that I know, they have the most fulfilling jobs because it's always difficult, right? You're trying to build a house, right? That's a difficult task. Even though it's all been done, you're going to run into all these problems. You got to solve all this
And
shit.
at the end of it, you have a house.
You have a house, and you have an income from it. Somebody will pay for that house.
Yeah, that's good to do something where you're
right, and it goes back. It ties into your thing about producing. We always want to produce. We need to produce. If we're not producing, we're basically looters, and that's an Ayn Rand statement, like from her mouth.
And I think we, having outsourced all the factory jobs and everything else, it's not really clear. There's no proof of our production oftentimes when we're doing these jobs, when it's just like intellectual capital and we're just answering emails and. You know, there's not like what was made. What did we do?
Yeah.
What is this paycheck for?
Right.
What does it represent?
Right.
It's not as obvious as someone
It's
who
not
just
tangible.
who just is on a assembly line and they just screwed the 11,000th doll head onto a doll for the day.
Right.
You know, they got 11,000 dolls. Think about it, that's 11,000 kids that are going to be a little happier because those dolls were made.
Because you made your doll.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're over here on ChatGPT just making policies and protocols for businesses that don't do anything
and regulations
and just
making,
raking it in and
making
just
things illegal.
wanting to blow our brains out
and making things illegal. Like, oh no, we gotta get rid of vape.
Yeah, legalize all this stuff.
Yeah, let's legalize psychedelics and cocaine and hookers, but.
Let's start making all the most dangerous stuff legal, promote it, normalize it,
right,
and then start just regulating all of the other stuff.
All the other stuff, and just make it just literally
just
like
doomsday cult. We're just going to take this whole thing down.
Right, like just literally take Dionysus to his word.
Yeah,
and just live it out.
Yep,
the god of fertility and love.
Take it, yeah.
Take
till
it
the wheels fell off.
Yeah,
that's right.
And just be obsessed.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Mediocrity, we'll get damned.
Yeah, we'll get run over though, probably, or we won't, or we'll run over everybody else.
That would be the hope, but
I kind of think that's kind of America's story, though. I mean, think about all the obsessed entrepreneurs and all the innovation, the railroads, the flying, the technology,
Henry Ford,
all these money, and he was
Thomas
like a
Edison.
Racist asshole, right? Like that's he like hated blacks, Henry Ford, right? It's like known, like he was. I think he was like a grand wizard or something, like in the KKK, or so he was connected in some way. And that's not like speculation. That was. So
you're saying you want to get back to that?
No, I don't want to get back to that.
Is that what you're saying publicly here?
No, but what I'm saying is that like he was obsessed with like making money and making cars, right? And like these good or bad, there's all these different obsessed motherfuckers.
It goes back to competition too.
Yeah, competition as well.
And
right?
how we feel about competition.
Right. And America really made a splash on the world, probably more so than any other society.
We wanted to be the best.
The best and the best.
And now it's like, we got to relax on being the best.
Home of the strong, home of the brave.
Because we're being the best at the expense of all these nice people.
Right. Yeah, we're exploiting. Mm-hmm. We're the evil patriarchy.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think we just need to get more obsessed with things. Mm-hmm. You know? Think of the joy you get out of an obsession. You get a joy out of it.
Like just biting your nails all day long until they're bleeding.
Yeah. Just
wonderful, joyful experience.
Right. It's fantastic. And then you get to a point where you don't bite your nails anymore. I went through I did the whole thing, and now.
Are you trained? You train yourself?
I've trained myself not to.
You don't want to do it anymore, or you just?
I don't want to do it.
You think about it still all the time, and you just refrain.
I think the obsession has
been lifted.
It's been either lifted or moved on to some other obsession. You know what I mean? It's always. I feel like
from nail biting to sparkling water.
Sparkling water has been a staple for about a decade, brother.
Wow, that's a long time to be obsessed over something so unimportant.
But it is important. It's so lovely. That's the thing about a good sparkling water to a sober guy. It's like you get to like not have a beer, but you can drink as much as you want. It doesn't make you fat. It's fantastic. So
that's a good place to end, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. All right,
really sums it all up.
So let's recap real quick. What do we say? Jobs are good.
Uh-huh.
Obsession is a good.
Yeah.
Capital
Capitalism is good.
G. Capitalism, laissez-faire. Tits out. Tits are number one.
Tits are greater than
ass. Passion.
Scrolling is good.
Scrolling is good. Obsession.
We don't scroll enough.
Yeah, we don't scroll enough. We don't look at screens enough.
Yeah, we need to look at more screens.
More screens.
More tits. More capital.
More capital. And do more drugs.
Yeah. We got it all figured out.
We got it all figured out.
I'm glad we're doing this.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.